presentation I have created. And at any time, if anybody has any questions, go ahead and ask. And we'll just kind of play it by ear. I started this trip on June 24th in Anacortes, Washington, which is out in Puget Sound, just north of Seattle. And I finished it in Madison, Wisconsin on August 11th. It was 7 weeks of biking. There we go. All right. We'll start going way back in 1976. This is my older brother Rick, and he and a buddy back in 1976 rode their bicycles from Carbondale, Illinois to Washington, D.C. to celebrate the bicentennial. And at that point, I was 4 years younger, so how old was I? About 14 or so. And I just thought that was the coolest thing ever, and I wanted to do it. And so that got me in the biking bug. And the route they took was the Bicentennial Trail. It was an outfit that started designating bike routes across the country, and this was the first route that they plotted out from Portland, Oregon, all the way to Washington, D.C., and they rode the eastern part of it. And this is a picture of me when I was 13 years old getting my first 10-speed bicycle. So I've always loved to ride my bike. I was only one of 2 kids riding my bike to Parkway West High School, and everybody else drove or took the bus or whatever. So that's how I got into biking, and I've done many trips before, but this is the most recent one. And the Bicentennial organization had turned into now, it's called the Adventure Cycling Association. They're based in Missoula, Montana, and they have routes all over the country, going east to west, north to south, all over, just designated bike routes that they put all over the country and even up into Canada. They make fantastic maps. I'll kind of just spread these around. People can look at them. Fantastic maps designed just for bicyclists that you can buy from them. And just kind of pass these around if you want to look at them. And they have all the information that bicyclists need to, what you need in town, campgrounds, grocery stores, hotels, bicycle shops, hospitals, phone numbers for the police departments, everything like that. And they're just beautiful maps with beautiful route descriptions that just really help you along the way. And these are the maps I use for my trip. Oh, yeah. And this was my route. As I said, I started in Anacortes, Washington. I crossed over the Cascades, and then actually in northern Washington, I crossed over Roosevelt Pass and another mountain pass, and then along the Coeur d'Alene River and into Idaho, to Sandpoint, Idaho, and then up north over Glacier National Park, and then up into Waterton Lake National Park up in Alberta, and then across the Great Plains of Montana into North Dakota, to the Lake Country of Minnesota, and to Hayward, Wisconsin. And Hayward, Wisconsin is where I met my brother, who lives in Madison, and we rode from Hayward up to Lake Superior in Ashland, and then south back to his place in Madison, Wisconsin. And that was 2,862 miles. And
How long?
in 7 weeks. I'm sorry?
You rode right over the passes?
Oh, yeah. That was the best part.
Downhill.
Oh, no, I love climbing. It's
What was
great.
the altitude? What was your?
The highest point is 6,700 feet. Going to the Sun Highway in Glacier Park. I live in Jackson Hole, so I live at 6,000 feet. So the altitude, that's not an issue for me. It will be now when I go back because I've been down here for so long. But that is the route I took. And the route actually continues on across up into the UP of Michigan, down into Michigan, across southern Ontario, through Niagara Falls, across the Adirondacks, across the mountains of New England, and ends in Bar Harbor, Maine. And maybe next summer I might fly back to Madison and finish up the rest of the way. We'll see. See what the winter brings. Again, these are the maps I'm kind of passing around that I used. And the idea for this trip, this is my house in Jackson Hole. I was sitting there one winter's evening, it was dark, it was about 20 below zero, and I was feeling really lonely, and I'm like, what do I like to do when I'm alone where I'm not lonely? Well, riding my bike. I can ride my bike alone all day long and I feel great. So I said, I should just ride across the country. So that's the idea for this trip. Started this past winter on an evening like this. As I said, I started this trip thinking I was going to be alone, but my brothers love to ride bicycles also. So the first part of the trip to Sandpoint, Idaho is with my brother Rick, who lives in Sandpoint, Idaho. So we rode the first week together to his place. And the last part of the trip, like I said, in Wisconsin, I was with my brother Chuck and finished up at his place in Madison. And so basically in the middle, I had about a month all by myself, and I loved every minute of it. Riding with your brothers is great, but not having to talk about, are you hungry? You need a break? You want to stop here? You want to go there? You just do whatever you want. You don't have to talk to anybody. It's like, I'm feeling like riding. I'm going to keep going. So it was a beautiful thing for me. Most of the time on the trip, I spent the evenings in my tent, camping out. I just found it to be the most convenient, the easiest to deal with, not having the least worries, and the cheapest, by far. A lot of campgrounds are free. There are some that are $10. I think the most I paid for a campground is $28. But I just really enjoyed cooking my own meals and hanging out and being by myself and not having to worry about anything else. The middle picture is when I was camping with my brother Rick, and the picture on the far right is actually in Theodore Roosevelt National Park in North Dakota. It was not a very well-known park, but very beautiful. 3 nights of the trip I spent in hotels, mostly because it was so hot and I needed someplace to cool off. I needed to get air conditioning. There was about a week when I was in the plains of Montana where the days were getting into mid to upper 90s. I'd start riding at about 6:30 in the morning, and I'd end up getting about 50 miles in at around noon, 1 o'clock, check into a hotel, eat some lunch, cool off in the air conditioning, figure out where the local swimming pool is, head to there, and then head to the nearest pub for a beer and dinner, and go back to the hotel. So,
How many miles would you average on a day?
I averaged on the trip 65 miles. My longest day was 107. My shortest was 28. So, yeah. But especially when you're alone, it's easy to just ride. And the day I did 107, I had an amazingly strong tailwind to pushing me along, so it wasn't that hard to do. And also along the way, there were 3 places that I stayed on the trip that people have set up just for bicyclists, because these routes that you see on these maps, they get thousands of bicyclists a year on these routes. And one of them, this adventure cyclist bunkhouse, is this guy in a little town in Minnesota. He's a retired Marine helicopter pilot, and he saw all these bikers going by, and he has this barn, so he totally fixed up the barn, and bicyclists stay there for free. The barn had 4 different bedrooms, a loft upstairs for room for about another 30 people. I mean, he's had up to 40, 50 people there when you get in night sometimes. And it's totally free. He had a kitchen there. He had it stocked with different food items, frozen pizzas, ice cream bars, power bars, Gatorade drinks, and just a price list and a little can to throw the money in, all on the honor system. And it's an awesome place to be. A really nice man. And there was another place in Gackle, North Dakota called the Honey Hub, which was this beekeeper who spends the summer in North Dakota, and then they pack up their bees, spends the winters in California in the Central Valley by almond trees to pollinate the crops. And they would set up one room in their house, just not as big as this guy, just had a couple beds, but people can camp in the backyard, had a shower, washer, dryer, internet connection, and it's just, again, totally free. They had a donation box, put money in if you want. And there's also in Oregon, or in Washington, I mean, by Colville, Washington, another place called the Bacon Bike Hostel. And it's Bacon because the couple's last name is Bacon. And they just they built an entire house, basically, 4 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, living room and kitchen, totally free for bikers come and hang out, because they just love coming in and chatting with you and seeing about your adventure. So there are 3 places like that along the trip, and I'm sure there's quite a few others around the country, but those are the places I stayed at. And also, there's a organization, a website called Warm Showers. And what it is, you just download the app on your phone, and it connects you with people who will open up their house to you and allow you to spend the night at their place if they're available. And I stayed at 2 of those places in Minnesota. Just really nice people, just trying to help people out. It's just a great way to meet people and a nice, fun way to travel.
How many women generally do this?
I did not meet many women traveling, but I've heard of quite a few. I heard there's a guy I met who was riding with a Scottish woman for quite a few days. There are women who do it, but generally there's more men than women. So, unfortunately, I didn't meet it.
How many speeds on your bicycle, and how often do you have to get a new bicycle?
This bike is 15 years old. It has 30 speeds on it, 30 gears, and it's pretty much on its last leg. So I'm thinking I might get a new one this winter, especially if I do the trip next summer. I want to get a new bike. So
Do some bikes have more speeds than 30? I didn't know they had that many.
no, it's about as most you can have.
That's as most.
Maybe there's some that have 33.
How much does a bicycle cost?
All right, when I bought this bike 15 years ago, I paid $800 for it. And I was looking online just real quick the other day. They're about $1,200 to $1,500. Not super outrageous.
Do you have to change the tires?
Yeah, on the bike, I put brand new tires on it and everything like that. So I didn't have to change the tires. I do have a spare tire with me. I only had one flat on the trip. And so the tires I had on there had a little bead of Kevlar underneath the rubber. And it really works, obviously, because I only had one flat.
And you've got your tent and your cooking
That's what I'm gonna
things,
get at next.
everything. Oh, I think it's amazing.
Yeah, that's what I'm gonna get to next. Here we go. This is pretty much, instead of pulling everything out, in this blue bag here, I have my tent and my sleeping pad. Here's the tent rolled up right here. You saw pictures of it set up. And this is my sleeping pad. It turns into a little chair so I can sit in. Then I can unsnap it and lay it flat and sleep on it. And my sleeping bag. I also have a cook kit. Just a couple pots, a fork / spoon. This is my little stove. I don't have the fuel bottle anymore because I emptied out and I'm not going to buy one because I can't put it on the airplane. Just a little stove right there that fits inside the pot and a lighter to light the stove. And of course, rain gear, raincoat, rain pants, and a first aid kit, which luckily I never had to use. Never pulled it out once, which is always
Even a Band-Aid?
not even a Band-Aid. Yep. And also in the, very minimal clothes, as you can see. I have these are the shirt I wore. I have another shirt like this. It's bright orange. I like to be seen when I'm on my bike. I don't want to be hit. Another pair of bike shorts, a couple pairs of shorts, a couple shirts, change of socks, long sleeve t-shirt, a sweater, and a fleece pants, another warmer socks, and my minimal repair kit, just a multi-tool, patch kit for the tires, a spare tube, spare cables, just a few random tools. So that's mostly, that's what I carry. Try to keep it as light as possible. But
On both sides.
on both sides, yeah, all of this fits and everything. And you see
What
that.
about water? Do you find that you drink a lot of water?
I drank a lot of water. I have 3 water bottles on my bike, you see there, so that's probably 2.5 quarts right there. And also I have in the bags some collapsible water bottles, because there were a few times, especially in North Dakota and in plains of Montana, where you're 50, 70 miles between towns. And so I carried extra water in those, because I did drink a lot of water. During those 90-degree days, every little town I stopped in, and I went in and bought a big quart of Gatorade and just sat inside the air conditioning, chugged the whole thing before I went along. And, so. But generally, generally the towns are close enough that just those 3 bottles is enough.
How about cell phones? Could you use cell phones?
Yeah, my phone, that's the one thing, it's so nice these days, is like, all you need is your cell phone. That's my camera, that's my computer, it's
How about
everything.
recharging?
What I do is, when I stop for lunch, I charge it up there at campgrounds. Pretty much all have outlets somewhere anymore, or the hotels, and I've never had a problem with it running empty. And pretty much it's service on most of the way. Some of the more remote regions, I lose service along the road, but I was riding, so I didn't.
Nice insurance.
Yeah, so just a few other pictures along the way. This is where I started out with my brother Rick. This is at the ferry boat landing in Anacortes. This is where the ferries go up to the San Juan Islands, a big tourist area. So we started at sea level, and then we had to climb up over the Cascades. And this is probably one of the more challenging things, because we started at sea level, we ended up climbing up over 5,700 feet. And it 2.5 days before we got to the top, and it was very challenging. But a beautiful scenery up in the Northern Cascades. And once we got over those, the terrain's a little more rolling, but we still have several mountain ranges you got to climb up and over, but they weren't as challenging as the first one. But just really fun, beautiful riding there in that area of the country. And then we moved on to northern Idaho, just across the panhandle of Idaho. This is in Sandpoint. It's called Mile Long Bridge across the Lake Pend Oreille. And it's also a beautiful region of lakes and trees and mountains. Northwestern Montana. This is what these two photos are. Just gorgeous scenery, gorgeous country. And of course, I mentioned going through Glacier National Park. This is definitely the most scenic part of the whole trip. Just going to the Sun Highway, which is, you can see part of the road there. Just a beautiful area. This section of road and that pass, they do not open it up or they close it to bicycles from 11 in the morning to 4 in the afternoon, because there's so much traffic on it, and it's a really narrow, winding road. And literally, the edge of the road will drop 500 feet sometimes. I got up early and rode up to the top of the pass. I got to the top by 11 o'clock, took some pictures, ate a little lunch, and rode down the other side. Going down the other side, it was really fast.
Oh, it is, it's almost free.
And then I hit the plains of Montana and North Dakota. For me, this was the most challenging part. Not only just the vastness, the straightness of the roads, but the winds. You had some really strong headwinds I was battling, and just a mountain pass, you know there's a top. You know you're going to get to the top, and you know you're done. When you're fighting a headwind, you don't know when it's going to end or if it's going to end. So just, for me, it was much more challenging than the mountains. And it just, also that's when the heat was the most intense, and there are no trees. There's no way to get out of the sun. So it's sun
No
beating on.
cars, no trucks, no
Well,
nothing.
there's cars and trucks, but there's no trees. Yeah, so that was the most challenging part of the trip for me, by far. And then I got into Minnesota, and when I got into Wisconsin, my brother Chuck joined me. He rode up from Madison, and we met right when I crossed the border into Wisconsin. And another beautiful area of lakes and trees, and we spend a lot of time in northern Wisconsin. It's just a beautiful, magical area, just a lot to see, beautiful country, friendly people, just really enjoyed it there.
Did you ever commute with other bikers?
I'm sorry?
Did you ever commute with other bikers?
I never rode with other bikers. The other bikers I met were generally riding the route the opposite direction from me. So I spent quite a few nights, talking with other bikers at these hostels I was talking about, or at Roosevelt National Park. There met a guy from Holland who was riding his bike. We camped together, but I never ended up meeting up with other bikers going the same way I did, and riding with them.
Or the places that you stayed, were they on the map?
They're on those maps that I passed around. There's information how to get in contact with those people, yeah. And I ended the trip, that's my brother's house, and toasting beers in Madison, Wisconsin. That's it.
Hey, I think you ought gotta explain your,
Oh, my nice sock?
yeah, I'd be wondering.
No, I got a lot of comics on my sock, but, you know, I just have bad veins in my one leg, so I need to wear the compression sock. Yeah.
Do you have some special food that you take for energy or special things that you,
Cliff Bars.
what?
Cliff Bars. I think I have one. No, in this handlebar bag, you know, dwarf, you know, peanuts, M&Ms, raisins, and yeah, right here. These Cliff Bars. They're just energy bars, basically. They cost about $1 each. They're really tasty, and I can eat one of these, and it gives me, you know, when I'm starting to feel a little worn down, sluggish, eat one of these, and it gives me another hour of good pedaling. Yeah. As far
Can you
as,
find them anywhere?
most grocery stores have, and actually along the route, because there are so many bikers along the route, even a lot of the convenience stores have these. Amazingly, yeah.
Are the truck drivers and automobile drivers polite?
Mostly. Mostly. The amazing thing in Montana is I found that people there to be really friendly until they got behind the wheel. I don't know what it is about, and in Montana, the speed limit's on the highway is 70. So they're flying.
Certain regions unlimited.
Yeah, and they just fly, and they're moving so fast, it's scary. I had one trucker in Montana drive by me and let me only about this much space. It was scary. And the logging trucks in Washington, I would hear them coming and just pull off the side of the road and go by, because they didn't give me any room either. But in general, you know, those were like maybe 3, 4, 5 times the whole trip I had issues, so not much of an issue.
The passenger vehicles create a vacuum?
The trucks do, yeah. The trucks, especially on when you're fighting a headwind and the truck's going the other way, really creates some really crazy swirling winds as they pass you. Yeah. Interesting. Yeah.
What was the first thing you craved for when you got home? Was it a shower, was it a hamburger, was it a bed? What was it?
Because I'm not in like the wilderness, you know, I'm in towns every night, so I always get food I want, you know, I can always get a beer when I want it. You know, and I don't mind sleeping on the ground, that doesn't bother me. So, yeah, nothing
Did you
next
keep,
crazy.
did you lose weight?
No. I didn't.
I think you ought to show your,
Well, you get a nice biker. Yeah, and what's really, you know, because you're on your bike all day, your legs go like this, so your tops of your knees get really tan, but your calves, even my right calf doesn't get as much sun as the left doesn't get any. Yeah.
Have you checked with a dermatologist about the skin on your face being red all the time?
That's on my list when I get home. It is actually on my list.
This is what happens if you don't.
Yeah, I'll be looking like that in a couple months.
but you use
Plan
sunscreen.
another fantastic journey soon?
I'm sorry?
Are you going to plan another fantastic journey soon?
I'm talking, you know, maybe next summer continue on the route over to Maine. Maybe. You know, I don't know. We'll see. We're going to see how the winter goes. Yeah.
I assume you don't have a wife.
I don't have a wife.
What do you do all the winter with all that snow? Do
I go skiing.
You ski?
Yeah. There's nothing else to do, so you ski.
So you're forced to ski.
I ski. Yeah, I love cross-country skiing, so I get out and do that all winter long. Yeah.
And you work.
And I work, yeah. work at the high school with special ed kids. So that's why I was able to have the time to do this this summer. That's all the slides I have. Any more questions?